Hello Starlings. So today's video is starlight out in the evening. Don't know if you can tell, I've had a little bit of coffee, but that's okay, we power on. Today's video is going to be, what is it like to work with dragons? Ooh. So since kind of like coming back onto my channel, we do kind of cover quite a bit of dragon content, and my poor buddy's head has been cut off a little bit here. Trying to give you at least a mildly nice background view to look at rather than my kitchen. But yeah, we've covered quite a lot of dragon content. I do work with dragons a lot within my spirituality and my craft. I have been working with them for years. Like a couple of my main spirit guardians and guides and stuff are dragons. It's Kara and Tan. Let me just fix that just a little bit because it's irritating me, and we're going to keep this in because we do shit raw in this channel. Okay, so what is it like to work with dragons? I've got some notes just so I can kind of stay on track and we don't go for too long rambling about the same point. So point number one is it's intense energy. It is not for newbies or the faint of heart. So the main reason I say this is because draconic energies can be very, very strong. They can also be just as trickstery as any other spirits. They can be, you know, just as harsh, just as unmalleable, I suppose. Even more so than the Fae, which is kind of hard done. So I feel like it's not for people that aren't ready for that kind of energy. You know, if you are kind of called to work with dragons, yes, fine, great. But if you are maybe still quite new to the craft, quite new to spirituality, new to dragon energy, dip your toes in. Don't just go like the whole hog unless they literally tell you to and they throw you in the deep end. Kind of like test it out, be curious, but be careful. That's all I will say on that one. It is very, very intense energy. It's not easy to work with by any means, but you do just kind of get used to it. You do kind of rearrange your own energies to kind of fit with the beings that are around you. Not in like a bad way, but in the kind of way that if you aren't willing to evolve to meet them where they're at, then they probably won't want to work with you anyway, but you're going to find it incredibly difficult to work with them, especially if you're trying to work with draconic energy and dragons in general within like witchcraft and spirituality. It is intense energy, so please be prepared for that and please be careful. Point number two, personal. Each individual will have a different experience. Yeah, so I could work with exactly the same being as you and still have a different experience. So every person that is able to practice, hold on, let me show off my pretty necklace. Every person that is able to practice any kind of spirituality or witchcraft, especially when connecting with dragons, every experience that you have will be a personal experience. I could work with literally the exact same being as you, the exact same dragon as you, and my experience would be different to yours. And that's okay. That's how we compare notes, that's how we learn, that's how we grow, that's how, you know, we experience life differently and uniquely. That's never going to be a bad thing. You know? Point number three, individual. There are so many types of dragon energy. There is a dragon for everything, but even within each category, each being has its own personality. There are certain traits that may overlap and be a general consensus for each type, but each being is individual and every person that connects with each being will have a different experience. So kind of just building on what I just said of like every dragon witch will have a different experience even when working with exactly the same dragon. That's unlikely, by the way, to work with exactly the same being, but if it's like a landlocked dragon or the dragon of a specific plant, for example. So if we get my little aloe vera has a dragon and a fairy, and it's a little bit in need of a water, so I'll do that when I finish this video. But if we were to connect with the energy of that specific aloe vera plant, the dragon of that specific aloe vera plant, the fae of that specific aloe vera plant, even though we are this, like connecting with exactly the same spirit, will have a different experience with that spirit. Likewise, that exact spirit, that exact dragon spirit or fae spirit would have a different personality to, say, the dragon spirit of this plant. They are still plant dragons, they are still plant energies, they are still plant dragon energies, but they will have completely different experiences, completely different personalities, completely different likes and dislikes. It's going to be a completely different experience because it's an individual spirit, an individual being, and working with each individual being is each individual person's experience. That got kind of confusing and repetitive. But I hope you understood that. I hope you understand what I mean. If you have any questions and anything I can clarify, comment down below and I will see what I can do. So, what was my experience of working with dragons? Dragons have always been a part of my craft. I knew the energy before I even had a name for them. Though they're very much dipped in and out of my life depending on how active I've been in my craft. This time though, I feel like they're here to stay unless I have some kind of trial that requires them to leave. I will cover what dragon trials are in another video, but if you definitely want me to push that one up the list of making them, then let me know down below. I connected more with the fae and the mer when I was younger, so I thought, so though dragons have always been in my life, they've had a back seat. Not anymore. I'm excited to see where this journey goes. So, like I said, I worked a lot more with fairy energies, mer energies and stuff like that when I was a kid. Even before I knew I was a witch or like identified as a witch or even identified as pagan, before I even knew what these energies had names, I was connecting with them. Now I kind of realised what they were. It was a lot more fae and mer energies, fairies, mermaids, that kind of stuff. Dragons have always kind of been in there, but they were very much like in the backseat. They were kind of waiting for me to be ready because, like I said, the energy is very intense. And they can be very playful, but they can also be very, very serious. So can the fae and the mer, I suppose, but the ones that I was connecting with, like, I don't tend to connect with dragons that are all that playful. I tend to connect with fairies and mer that are quite playful. But dragons specifically, I have experienced some very intense energies, very intense changes in my life that have come in since the dragons have kind of like taken a front seat in my practice. I feel like, yeah, like they're here to stay this time. I've only really had one dragon that has kind of stayed, and I call her Kara online. I've had a new being make themselves known. His name is Tan. He is currently my co-magician. I will be going over like an updated version of my deities, my guardians, my guides, all that kind of stuff, because it's very much updated since I last did a video on those topics. Bearing in mind that most of the videos I did on those topics were about 3 years ago, so definitely need and due for an update. But yeah, so I feel like dragons are definitely taking a front seat in my life now, and I am completely okay with that because my life has been going in an amazing direction since they came into it. So let's keep on this high and see where the journey goes. My question to you, I'm going to try and end all of my videos with a question from now on, if I can, just because I'm genuinely curious and I want to hear how your path differs from mine, how your experiences differ from mine. I want to learn from you and grow with you and all of that good stuff. So all of my videos should be ending with a question. I will encourage you to answer it in the comments or come and join me in the Hatchling clan and come and answer some of the questions over there. So my question to you for this video is, how long have you been working with dragons? Let me know in the comments down below. Other than that, I feel like we've kind of covered everything that I wanted to say. If you have any questions, do let me know. And if you want me to clarify anything, let me know. If you want to tell me about your experiences, let me know. And yeah, I think that kind of concludes this video. So be unapologetically you, no shame, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.